What is good, y'all? Welcome to Get With It, brought to you by WSLAM and the iconic Basketball Bible, Slam. I'm your co-host, Camille Buxeda, a.k.a. Killer Cam.
And I'm Jianni Smith, aka J Money. And welcome to the podcast for Everything Women's Hoops.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to sit here chopping up about all your favorite moments and the behind the scenes stuff that maybe you didn't get to see, but we got to see. So we're going to give you the lowdown. You know, a cover shoot with Dawn Staley, getting to see Paige and AZ before UConn, training and all that, getting to be in the locker room when the Washington Mystics won the championship, all of that. And we'll even have some of your favorite hoopers in the room, you know, to tell their stories of those moments as well.
Yeah, and so like if you guys are wondering like why is this called Get With It? We're not here to really try to convince y'all like why the women's game is so important. Honestly, like the legends, the greats of the game, like they've already set the tone. And honestly, like the girls that get it, and the girls that don't. Like we're just here to spit facts. That's it, bro.
I mean, you're either with it or, you know, you can peace out. We don't need you. But, you know, sit back, relax. Welcome to the girls' room and welcome to our first episode. Let's get it going.
Yeah, so I guess we can hop right into it. You know, the March Madness just ended. The madness was real. South Carolina came out on top as champs. And I think that honestly is perfect like segue into us like one of our biggest moments in the last month or so. Like, I mean, first of all, let's talk about it. Like 2 covers, they're the 2 teams playing.
Let's just pat ourselves on the back
like,
real quick.
Hold on. Yeah, we need a moment of silence for that one because like who else called that one? Like, I don't know. Everybody's brackets were busted, but like Slam, y'all like told y'all who to pick. Low key.
We had 2 covers. We went for 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Like
we set it off real nice.
All hits, no misses. But yeah, like that cover shoot was just amazing, honestly. Of course, just being in the presence of Dawn Staley, like she is one of like the GOATs. Like it was just great to be a part of that. And to be able to see now like their story being told and then how they, you know, finish the season out.
Yeah, I mean the champions, right? So it's kind of crazy because we talked about this cover, you know, me and some of the producers and our editor in November. We thought, okay, we've got this really strong start of season moment with Paige and AZ, a really interesting story with them, you know, being 2 best friends joining up, having played together, back-to-back #1 players in the country. And now, you know, what's the tone we want to set for March? And to me, South Carolina was always the team from the jump, like the best team through and through. And so it was a pretty seamless and not even a question that they're going to be on the cover, more about how we were going to go about it. And, you know, I knew I wanted Dawn to be a part of it. We've only ever had one other coach on the cover. I think it was Coach K from Kentucky too. So it was
only right.
It's only right, right? And she, I mean, has had 2 back-to-back #1 recruiting classes. She really has built what is now the next movement, the now movement. It's not the next movement anymore. It's the now movement.
Yeah, no, it's definitely right now.
It's the now movement. And so we knew, okay, we've got to have, you know, your star pieces in Aaliyah and Henny and Zaya. And I think what was so special about that moment is that like start a season, maybe even last year, you're not talking about Henny in that conversation. And she showed right quick.
26? Yes. 26 points. Like she really came and showed out, like put some respect on her name, period. Like, and I love that. So even just to be able to have her included in that as well, like recognizing, I think that's another thing that's so like important about us and what we do is kind of like telling those stories of the players that like everyone may not be talking about and like kind of not necessarily putting them on the map because people definitely knew who Henny was, but like basically like pointing people in the direction of like, yo, like put some respect on their name. Like they're showing what they're proving themselves like on the court already, but like we're kind of just here to like amplify that for real.
No, 100%. And Henny, you know, a player that sat on the bench for 2 years, like how crazy that, you know, come her junior year, she really starts stepping it up and gets the ball put in her hands. And then, you know, look, a year later, she's winning a championship and helping them leave there. So it was a really, really cool moment. And I think one of my favorite, or the coolest parts, and when I knew South Carolina was going to win it too, like I swear it was the moment they're going to win it without a doubt. we walked into the gym and Dawn was, she had a previous engagement, so she wasn't there. You didn't hear or see any of the coaches doing anything. All you heard were the girls on the court coaching themselves. Like, how many teams can you point at and be like, oh, they don't even need a coach. They can do it all themselves.
I was in such shock. Like, at first I thought I was tripping because when I walked in, like, of course, I'm looking for Dawn. And I'm like asking everybody, I'm like, yo, like, do you see Dawn anywhere? And they're like looking at her like, wait a second. No, like, she's nowhere in here to be found. And then she just comes up out of nowhere, just strolling in. And like, they were literally like, business as usual. Like, they had a goal and everybody there was committed to it. And you can tell, like, there wasn't any type of, messing around in practice. Like, they were straight to business and it proved like they came out with the national championship. So
yeah. And it just showed how much they play for each other too. Like, they're that team is like glue, man. Like, I'd never been to a practice of theirs, so I hadn't really seen it for myself, but they play for each other, man. They knew what their goal was at the beginning of the year, and they said, hey, we're coming to do this right, and we're gonna do this, our way. And it was so special to get to see that. And once practice ended and we kind of started getting Coach and Zaya and Aaliyah and Henny kind of ready for the shoot, like, Coach actually came first as the players kind of left practice and, started changing all their and doing hair, makeup, the glam, we had to get them right for this. So as Coach came, she was like, I'm ready. Like, and her little dog Champ.
Oh my gosh, Champ. Yes.
King.
Just as well polished as the team. Like, I've been at other shoots and like, they'll bring their dogs and the dogs are like running around. Like how dogs usually are, like wanting to play with the ball. Champ is like been here, done this. Like when I tell you he's just sitting over there chilling, like literally, like I was amazed by the like.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's like when Dawn walks in, like everybody, but no, it's not even like you sit up straight. Like you've already been sitting up straight. You know she's about to walk in. Like it's actually like insane. Like
exactly.
I was so taken back by that.
And it's wild too because we sat down and she's about to do this interview and Champ just like knew and he just like circled around, found a spot to lay next to her chair and just chilled there. The full, which by the way, this interview was originally supposed to be 20 minutes. Let me just tell you, I don't do well on timing when it comes to all that, especially when it comes to interviewing a legend. And I get so involved in it and I'm like having a conversation. It's less about the cameras being there and more about like, getting dimes, like real messages. I felt like I was in like school or church and like I'm learning. I'm sitting here learning from someone. And it was a full almost hour, basically, chopping it up with, one of the biggest legends in the WNBA and all of basketball, if I'm honest. Because, like, she's been putting on all across basketball for a minute. And it was so exciting to be able to really sit down and just get all those dimes from her, man. Seriously.
Yeah, let's talk about some of, like, our favorite, like, moments or, like, dimes, gems that she dropped. Like, I guess one of mine so like being a former player and just hearing her talk so much about how she's like a player's coach, was like really touching to me. Like I swear, like I almost teared up at one point when she started talking about like parents coming to her and basically like giving them their daughter to like essentially raise because college is such a important part of your developmental years. And so just her speaking about like, I can't remember. It was one player.
Lay.
Yeah. She said her mom came and literally said to her, like, I give you my daughter. And she was like, whoa, like no one's ever, like, obviously like they've done this, but no one's ever said those words to me. And she took it, to heart. And it really meant a lot to her. And then you can kind of see that just in the way that she interacts with her players. Like the players all kind of like feed off of her energy. Like at the Final Four and in the open practice, like, they're dancing in the middle of half court and like Dawn is leading the dance. Like I've seen videos of them like in Soul Train lines and practices and stuff. Like who wouldn't want to go and play for that kind of coach? Like it just, that just means so much. Even just down to like, we were talking about something and, when she was talking about Lay's mom and she was like, yeah, like it's a serious matter to me. And it made me crack up laughing. She was like, I'm not an AKA, just knowing like how her and Asia's relationship is. Asia being an AKA and this is a serious matter. And it's like it's just so funny, like the relationships that she has with, all the players. I think that really just speaks to how great of a coach she is and how much it means to her to be a part of, their developing and their, their lives and stuff.
Yeah. And she said it right quick too. She goes, I don't just recruit players, I recruit parents. So all the moms at home, moms and dads,
if you want your kids to go play for Dawn,
she gonna recruit you too. Yeah. So it is not just your kid as a part of this process, but definitely her too, or them too. I think one of my favorite parts, I'm gonna take it. That was emotional. I cried. I teared up in that moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting there. I was like, tear dropping. I'm gonna take it a different way because when she said this, I think I started crying, laughing. Like it was some of the funniest shit I've ever heard. Basically, I was talking about Dawn. I mean, Dawn's game. Listen, if you haven't watched Dawn tape, this camera
go
right
back.
Here, go back, go on YouTube, do what you got to do, but go check it out.
Go watch some OG highlights.
Some of the sauciest game I've ever seen. She used to throw in between the leg dimes to Lisa Leslie as she laid it up, or Rebecca Lobo, whoever it was on that Team USA squad. I mean, she was, and when she was with the Charlotte Singh, man, she's
definitely one of the best, sauciest point guards in the history of basketball, for sure.
So I had to ask her, where did that come from? Like, back in the 90s, I of course, we saw some of that, but it wasn't like purely evident everywhere. And to me, it looked like playground basketball. Like that's the shit you see at the outdoor. You go pull up to Dykeman or Rucker or, any of the courts in Philly where she's from, that's the type of the ball you see there. So I asked her, I'm like, where did this come from? She goes, let me just tell you a story. She tells me about how she had a crush on this guy at one of the playgrounds that she grew up in at Hank Gather's project housing in Philly. She had a crush on one of the guys there. And she's like, I think I liked him more for his game because he had some of the sauciest dimes. So I tried to get close to him to learn his game a little bit. And I'm like,
that's how you do it.
And that is how you do it.
Literally.
That is how you do it, Queen. Thank you.
If you're trying to pick up game, that's the kind of game you pick up. Like, okay.
Yeah, and like you do it from who and however you need to.
Right.
So, I don't know who that man is.
Right. Giving him credit.
Doing well.
Shameless plug. We don't even know.
Hope he's off doing well. But hey, Dawn Staley learned a lot from you.
Right.
And really transformed the game of basketball on all levels. And Zaya said she was going to get that between the legs. So Zaya, I got you on film next year. You and Aaliyah, I hope you got it planned out because, we're waiting for that one.
And then also just her talking about like how she never had any intentions or plans of being a coach. Like I can't even imagine right now, like even my dad says like, okay, of course, like Pat Summitt is like his number one coach, of course, but like now Dawn Staley is his favorite basketball coach. Yeah. And so just imagining the game of basketball without like, of course we know the player Dawn Staley, but the coach Dawn Staley, like it's like, I can't even picture or imagine it. So just the thought that like, had she never had that conversation, like this wouldn't even be a thing is like crazy to even think about.
I know. And how crazy to me, like, again, when we talk about how we learned so much of life from her, like it was a perfect way of how it's crazy. And she even said, I think she goes, it's crazy how the game finds you or like you find the game or rather it finds you and that path, that divine path, which she always talked about, like it's something that you can't. And it's funny because like I related a lot to how I felt in this current job, right, at WSLAM. Like, listen, I was at the league doing my thing, working in social. I loved it. Slam kind of came about. I was honestly not feeling ready. Like, I didn't know if I had that power to like, or that ability to go take and build a brand and all that. And like, if no one's gonna bet on you but you, right? And so I took the leap, and it's that same way. Like, thank God I took that leap. I'm so glad Dawn took her leap, right? Because look at where she's at now, and look at what she's done for this game, and the same for me. I'm so blessed to have been able to, land in this position and build this brand that has become, we're here making a podcast,
right?
Like we had a party about it the other day. What? We were not ready for that. So it's kind of crazy to see how those life lessons that Dawn talks about, like, and you think about it, it's like, yeah, that happens. That really is how it is. And it was so special to be able to tell her story and all of that.
Yeah, and let's just kind of get more into like, I guess the past and the journey and where the game takes you. Like we talked a little bit about how like Henny's game has evolved and, more people are starting to recognize her for her game and everything. And just yesterday she got drafted. Let's talk a little bit about the W draft. Like these are some of the biggest, this is probably one of the biggest moments in these players' lives thus far. Like, what was your like favorite part, I guess, of last night, the draft last
Yeah.
night?
Well, let me go into this. The draft was finally a weekend. Like, we actually turned it into a whole event. Very happy to say. And we hosted our first draft party. So it was really special that we got to welcome a lot of the players that were here in New York for this big moment. Which this was 3 years in the works. And then,
Finally made it
COVID did some
happen. Yeah.
things. We couldn't be, we're back in person, thankfully, healthily and, safely, all that. But we got to welcome a lot of these draftees to this moment in New York, and it was just so fun. Like, it was a kickback. And that, like, to me, I'm so proud of that because I feel like it was a moment where these players didn't have to worry about, what they're doing, but they could really just chill, hang with a lot of people in the basketball, fashion, music, and women's basketball space and just chill and hang. Like, I saw Shakira Austin like going off to put some Pop Smoke, like when DJ Rhea got it lit in there. I was like, okay, y'all
Yeah,
are
she's
having
in her zone. Yeah, she's in
y'all
her
are having a
zone.
good time. So it was a really special way to welcome that. And that, to me, right now, I mean, we'll get into last night's draft, but I think that was really one of my favorite moments that, we got to put on for these players.
Yeah, I mean, just how I guess important it is, especially with the draft coming back in person, in like the past 2 years, for them to be able to come, like, get welcome to the city. And what better way to do that than like party with Slam? Like, I feel like so many of the players probably like dream of being on the Slam cover at some point. So to be invited to be able to come to a party, to be introduced to the city, um, for one of the biggest moments in your career, your life thus far, like, that's lit.
Yeah, and now these players can dream of being, the next Candace or the next Benaja Diamond. I mean, you got everyone back here, and hey, listen, we got a lot of covers made, but we got a lot more coming your way.
Hello.
We are not done yet. And I know, one of the things, I actually didn't get to go, but you went on the hoop bus. They were on it the day before the draft, and that looked pretty lit because they were going all around. Yeah. It was feeling like Slam Summer Classic up in here.
I was about to say, no, they were definitely lit. You were talking about Shakira rapping to Pop Smoke, like Kirsten, Ryan, like Ray, Henny, even Nas rapping Dreams and Nightmares. Like, they were lit on there. Like, they were really in their bag. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite parts. So they actually were surprised on the bus by Lisa Leslie, like none other than the great Lisa Leslie. And even she was getting lit on there. I'm like, okay, OG, like, I feel you. And so it was just really good to like see them just really enjoying everything, like getting to see the city. They went and visited a couple of different courts, and it was so like heartwarming to see like the young girls, the fans, like so excited. They were, shooting half court shots with them. I think one of the players even like won a bet with one of them, like, if you well, one of the young girls had like shot 4 half court shots just from like getting just us all sitting there. And so they were like going crazy, like screaming, jumping up and down, taking videos and pictures with them. Like, it was just so exciting to see them so excited for them. Like, they haven't even been picked yet. They don't know what team they're going to, and they're just excited for them in this moment and just huge fans of them. So that was great to see and be a part of.
Who had the best bars on that bus? Like, who took over the mic the most, and who had the best
I'm
bars?
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. They put some Gunna on, and Ray had Brian like hold the mic, like how when Gunna was in the stew and he was like, I took the top off, I'm dripping like hot sauce. And I was like, oh, like, that's one of my favorite videos of Gunna. So I'm gonna have to give it to Ray on that one. Cause like, before I even said it, she knew, like, hold on, hold on, mic. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Girl, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm with that. But no, they were all lit though. Like, they really brought the energy. Like, I really enjoyed it. I think they had a great time too.
Yeah, no, that's fire. I mean, those types of moments, are the ones that we're gonna hear. We gotta get those on video though. Gotta get that content.
Yeah,
some
for sure.
We need that content from that bus.
Oh, I definitely can pull out that video. I definitely got it.
Ray, I hope you won this battle. We don't know who wins next, but you won the rookie battle thus far.
You got the golden mic for now.
Exactly. And so, leading up to yesterday's draft, these players had an incredible couple of days, welcome into this city. But I think one of my favorite things is, I know when we talked to Destiny, when we talked prior to the draft and even at the cover shoot, I mean, she's got one of the swaggiest, like, styles that, we seen off the court. And so she knew, she was like, I'm going to come fit as something like, don't worry. She would not tell us what it was. And then she pulled up in a full light blue custom designed suit. I mean, let's talk about that dress.
Iced out, like
Iced
rings,
out.
like no, she came fitted. If I had to vote best dress, it'd definitely be Henny for sure, like without a doubt. Which like I already knew before she even came, honestly, because like she definitely is one of the was one of the swaggiest players in college basketball. So she definitely would be like my like most fitted out of the entire night. Yeah. I think Shakira Austin would be a close second too. She brought a different kind of vibe. I think she might have told us she had on like all black designer, like
Okay.
minding my business is all black. Like, okay, I feel you, sis.
that.
Yeah. And you know, I gotta rep her because she's from back home. Shout out to DMV. So excited to see her going to the Mystics too. But between those two, they brought different vibes for the best dress, but I definitely think I'm giving it to them.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it. I can live with that. I mean, hey, they came ready. They came correct. And, I think one of my favorite parts is always the orange carpet. So getting in to see them walk that carpet, all that, have that moment, all that good stuff. And then, obviously make league fits. Shout out Ian and Joe. Shout out Survival of the Fitted. We know.
Yeah. Tune into them if you haven't yet. Survival of the Fitted pod.
Yes. Plug. No, and I think that we got to see so much of them in their outfits, all that stuff. But then like when it was time to get names called, like shit went down.
Yeah, let's get
going
into
to
it.
plan.
Let's get into it. Let's really get into it. Who was like, what was the most surprising, I guess, for you?
I think for me, because again, I'm a Liberty fan. I've been in New York for 6 years. Do you know?
Okay.
New York,
New York, right?
Live down the street from Barclays. Shout out, Brooklyn. I gotta say, Niara going 5th. I did not see that coming. I mean, she was a player. I knew she had a lot of potential. She missed a lot in college due to injury. She even left early too. So she really only got 2 solid college seasons. So I really didn't expect that. But knowing her relationship with Sabrina, and how they already know each other's systems and how they play, and the Liberty really needed a post player. I was talking to Natasha Howard about that. They needed a post. They felt like they were really guard heavy, so they needed to get a little bit bigger. And Sandy, I think, did a good pick there. I made a good pick there. I think it makes sense. In the end, systematically, like I think she's an extremely trainable player, and coachable player, like Satu is. And Satu, to me, transferred into the pros pretty quickly. And I think Niara has that same upside. It's going to, take some time. It's not something that's going to happen automatically, but they needed that size. And so it makes sense to me. What about you, though?
I would definitely say Henny dropping to the second round. I feel like that's probably like that's not an unpopular opinion. I feel like nobody really suspected that. I mean, when we talked to Dawn at the Slam cover shoot, she was saying like, how she had been talking to Henny and was saying, about her being like a lottery pick and everything like that. And I think her draft stock really went up, especially in the tournament, because she really came out and showed out for real. So it was just really surprising to see her drop, that far down in the draft. So I'm not really sure like what happened there. Of course, if we were in those rooms with the GMs and stuff, things would be a little bit different. But that I would say was probably the most shocking thing for me.
I mean, I talked to Natasha Howard, said the same thing. Like none of us expected it because like Baby showed us she could shoot. No. And she's undersized, but she's athletic. Yeah. She can get in and out of the paint the way she can create for herself. And to me, like, I think I remember at one point I was looking, I think it was like early second round. I'm like, why did Seattle pick her up? To me, they lost Jordan Canada, who's heading to LA now. They lost a guard. They need, some young players. And so I was shocked that they didn't pick her at that point. They ended up picking up Avina Westbrook, which is also an incredible choice. But, you're right. I did not expect Henny to drop that low because to me, she showed her upside. She showed what she can provide to a team. And this is something I got to respect. I had no problem with people transferring. I have no problem with people making, the best decisions for themselves in college. I get it. But Henny was a player that was benched for 2 years.
And when her number was called, she was ready.
She came ready. And she sat there and, understood Dawn's plan and her vision and she accepted her role on that.
I was about to say, when you can be a role player like that, I feel like you can almost go and play anywhere, honestly, because like I said, like when your number is called, you're ready and you're ready to step in wherever your team or your coach sees fit and where you need you. And I think that Henny really has that like killer mentality, like you said, like creating space for herself, just kind of making it work. And so I don't know, but I'm excited to see her go to Indiana though.
Yep.
One, bringing the heat to the fever, but
Yes.
also just they're a team that's rebuilding right now, and so I'm excited to see how they utilize her.
I think one of my favorite moments of the night too was you could see, as each name is getting called, you could see Henny and family kind of starting to. It's hard. There's
It's hard
nothing
to
harder
sit
to
there
sit there and
and
hear
wait.
other people's names called and not yours, right? And I saw Dawn come over. By the way, fitted in full Dior.
Hello. I mean, I didn't expect anything less, but
I like to look rich. I heard that.
let's not even look rich. Sis, you are rich, okay?
We saw them contracts. We see them numbers.
We see the checks, sis.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like, it was great. It was great to see her just coming over and comforting her in that moment. Like, I think that just, of course, like what we talked about earlier, just speaks to the type of coach and like person that she is and the support system that she is for, her tribe, for real.
Exactly. And like, Dawn's lived this. She knows what it is.
Exactly.
She's lived it with herself, with former players. And so she knew how hard that moment was for her. But when her name did get called, like, it was celebrations.
Yeah.
And I know it was so special to be able to be there to celebrate with her in that moment. And I know when Niara actually got called, Sedona Prince was there crying, tearing up.
Yes, I love seeing that.
Really cool to see a lot of the teammates, family, friends who got to come out for the draft be there and really celebrate that moment. Because, like, listen, 2 years now, players haven't gotten to hear their names called in person. And so, it really makes you think. I don't know about everyone, but these past 2 years made us all think about those moments in life that we actually cherish and that we missed out. We took for granted a little bit.
Took for granted. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Because we're not, thinking that it could ever be taken away. But like, the last few years showed us that it is possible. And so I'm really happy that these players got to, be reunited, come in person, and really celebrate, hey, the growth of the WNBA. But I will say one of the scariest parts about where we're at in the W is I don't even know how many contracts there are this year. I think it's something like 10, something crazy. Like some really low crazy number.
Yeah, that's what, like, when you see the players getting drafted and they'll be drafted in the first round and then get cut like mid-season, sometimes even before the season starts. Like, it's just crazy to even think about like how many or how few of spots there are and how many great players there are that, still are deserving of spots.
No, exactly. And listen, it's the harsh reality of the W. There's 144 jobs. A lot of people didn't retire this past year.
They're coming back.
Exactly. And those are world-class, top-tier, best of the best Hall of Famers, and as we are transitioning now into almost a new era, we're still like, in a space where some people are just not going to get jobs right away. I mean, listen, but Nigel Laney right there, right here, I'm wearing her. Where is she at? Right here. I mean, girl was cut. She was not on a team at the start of, what was it, 2019? 2018? Yeah. I can't remember what season it was. Girlie went to Atlanta, made her name known. Look at her now. She's in New York, one of the top scorers. So listen, the reality.
WNBA All-Star.
Exactly. And the reality of the WNBA is again, like what the lesson Henny taught us. Your number might be called whenever. You just got to be ready. You got to be ready, stay ready to, hey, make this shit pop off.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Like, when your number is called, I'm ready. Like, no warming up or anything. Like, you just ready to go.
Exactly. And I think one of my favorite moments, or what I'm most excited about, at least actually moving forward, is last night we got to hear Nas and Ryan's names. Ryan Howard called number 1, Nas in the second round, called together to Atlanta. Atlanta's a team that really needs a fresh start. Coming off of Nikki's departure. A lot of teammates, no longer on that roster. So that's a team where, like, as a rookie, you can make a name for yourself. You can really solidify a roster spot and get some buckets. So I think that's a great spot for them to both be in, which, by the way, they're actually besties.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that they're happy to be united. And I was talking to Nas's aunt last night, and her dad's family is from Atlanta. And so, like, that's just like almost like a homecoming for her to be able to go back and, not gonna necessarily go back, but just to go be able to revisit family and everything like that. So it's always exciting to hear and learn about those stories, and to see kind of those journeys and transitions in the game.
Yeah.
how everything kind of comes full circle for a lot of these players.
Yeah. And there was another bit of history last night too.
Yeah. Amisha Williams.
Yeah.
The first HBCU player in 20 years to be drafted in the WNBA.
Crazy.
Shout out to sis, because that is no easy feat, as we talked about how few spots there are. And also she's a mom too. Like, what? Shout out to mama. Yes. Like, she's doing the damn thing.
Yes,
for real.
she is.
So big shout outs to her for making history.
Yeah.
I know that'll be super exciting just to be able to, for her son to be able to see her fall out. So I'm excited to see, what's in store for her as well.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of great players. We're seeing the versatility of what, college basketball has to offer, and how it's no longer how many ever X amount of teams. And, hey, we weren't going to get into this today, but I'll get into it because we're here to get into it. We're going to do this little segment that we like to call We Got Time Today. We're going to just add this, plug this one in right here, because this was a little older. But we're going to do this every week, where we're going to look into some of the fun things that men predominantly and or ignorant people, let's just say that.
Yeah, we can group all of them together.
Exactly. Have to say about women's basketball and women and these players. And so during March, actually previous to March, Buick had a spot basically outlining how there is less media coverage to women's basketball, and that's always been an issue, whatever. And Darren Ravel had, I'm going to read it for you, actually, because I feel like we
pull
just
up the
receipts. I'm going to pull up the receipts.
Gotta have the receipts, because sometimes people try to go back and be like, I didn't see. Yeah, you did. Exactly. I have the receipts right here.
Exactly. And this is what this man had to say. This spot by Buick is really weird. Women get less coverage during March Madness because there is less madness, fewer upsets. The bracket is predictable. That's all. It's not the same product. Darren, do you feel the same today?
The thing is, I mean, we talk about receipts. This tweet still hasn't even been deleted. That makes me cringe.
Yeah, and like this man had the gall to be like, oh well, I'm glad to see the progress. Maybe you just haven't been a part of the conversation.
Yeah, like if you haven't been tuning in, then you probably should have just sat this one out. Like,
yes,
I'm confused. I'm really confused.
It makes no sense, and this is also the same man that's had issues in the past when it comes to credibility of his pieces, of his reporting, and. Listen, before you report on something that you do not know, get your facts straight.
Google's free.
Google is free,
Google's actually free, and it's right at our fingertips. You know,
I could search it for you right
here.
It's
so easy. I'm not understanding.
It makes no sense.
But to his point, like, there were so many upsets. I don't even know. Of course, there are numbers out there, but
I think there was about 9 or 10. Like, is what at one point leading into the Elite Eight, I think it was, that I saw when it came to upsets.
I was going to say, I don't know if were there any perfect brackets.
No,
after
0.
Like at the first or second round, like 0. Everybody's brackets were busted. So.
Shout outs out Dakota and Creighton and
huge shout out to Creighton though. They went on a run right there, and I was like, all right, let me see. I need to go find me a Creighton uniform.
Jackson State even.
Yes. Jackson State almost gave LSU a run for that. No, not even almost. They did give LSU a run for their money. But there were so many great games. Like, even if there wasn't an upset, like the teams that almost upset some of the teams, like, I just don't understand how people can sit up here and part their lips, pick up their fingertips to like say and utter some of the things that they do. Like,
makes no sense.
You're just a hater. Like,
hating is not cute.
It's not at all.
I mean, like, but apparently it's the trend. So whatever, y'all do you. I mean,
if you're hating, if people are hating, that means maybe you're doing something right.
Outside the club,
you can't even get in. Right. So hey, we're just gonna keep on being great. We're just gonna keep on building. Like, women's basketball is on the huge come up. Like, there's so many great things that are happening right now in this space. And so honestly, like we said, like, get with it. And if you aren't, then literally, like, we don't have any other words for you.
We don't have time for you.
We don't have time.
And it's crazy because, like, we're in this position right now having this podcast. Like, we made this for this exact reason, to talk about the things that, like, to us don't get enough, conversation. The fits, the things that are behind the scenes, the things that people don't normally see from these incredible top tier athletes. Like, that bar none, that's what they are. Like, and that's what we have the privilege to witness,
be a part of
and witness and be a part of. Exactly. And so that's what this was all about. You and I coming together, and listen, for all of y'all at home, this is what we do on our weekly calls. I know we are working women and we got weekly one-on-ones and we normally just sit there for an hour talking shit.
Yeah, literally. Like, if anyone were to sit in on one of our meetings, they'd be like, are y'all working right now or are y'all like just kicking shit? We're doing both. This is actually a part of our jobs. We get paid to do this. Like,
exactly. And
that's how we come up with all of this.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen, I kid you not. How many ideas have come through from us just shooting the shit and being like, wait.
That's actually a great ass idea. Yeah, that's a great ass idea. Let's do it.
Why are we doing this? Exactly. And so this is what this is all about. And I'm really excited that we got to do our first episode together in person. Let's go. Back in person. We're going to get New York. We're going to get Jianni here to New York City pretty soon. You know, I know the DMV reps, but you know.
Yeah, DMV through and through.
But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're really excited to be doing this weekly. Make sure to subscribe to WSLAM on YouTube and follow everywhere on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. I know there's many places, right, Jay?
Yeah. Tune in everywhere, literally, because you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's it on period.
Peace.